Joining me now, let's turn to our political panel. Pollster for American Pulse Research and Polling and host of Political Trade Secrets, Dustin Olson. Alongside of him is our friend Tony Katz, host of Eat, Drink, Smoke, which is apparently a radio show, although it sounds like a lot of fun. Gentlemen, good evening.
Good to see you. It does sound fun. Good to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. And if it was an American citizen, Dustin, who was liberal, I can't even imagine the outcry from CNN and the mainstream media. Nick was posting after he got it, hey, Portland police, you made a big freaking mistake. You proved what we've all been saying for years. You're corrupt and controlled by violent Antifa thugs who terrorize the streets. You thought arresting me would make me shut up and go away. You couldn't have been more wrong. Stay tuned. It reminds me of what we're seeing from Turning Point USA, saying an assassination is not going to deter them. Your thoughts tonight, Dustin?
Yeah, so I think it's pretty obvious why he was the one who was arrested, and it's because he's the one who's shining a light on this this sore that the city has and that we see across the country, and he's pointing it out. So I think it makes sense. You know, we track public opinion, and clearly things like pocketbook issues and inflation are important, but in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, public safety, safety for your family and for yourself comes before anything. And I think the left is definitely very aware that this idea of crime across the country is a problem, which is why I think they're pushing back so hard against it. And one thing we saw with the border twice in the first administration and this one is that when you have a bunch of policies as well as messaging all aligned and dovetailing in the same direction, you can solve a problem very quickly. We saw it in Washington, D.C. that pretty much over a weekend they solved crime. This is an intransigent problem for decades. And what does it say about the people who let it go on when it can be solved so quickly?
Yeah, the president moved in quickly, as you say. Something else that's been spreading quickly, and I bet you'll talk about it over a cigar if you're watching the Indianapolis Colts this weekend, Tony Katz, which is Bad Bunny, tapped by the NFL to be the Super Bowl halftime show. Here's Caroline Levitt today talking about someone who's not just anti-Trump and anti-ICE, said a lot of outrageous things, basically cross-dresses sometimes based on some of the photos out there. Here's the press secretary.
I know there are many in this room who are very anxious to hear the president's response to Bad Bunny being the halftime show, so I won't get ahead of him. I won't reveal what he feels about this. Next time you all ask him a question, you're welcome to do that. I have my own feelings on that, but that's not what I'm up here to talk about. As far as ICE being at the Super Bowl, as far as I'm aware, there's no tangible plan for that in store right now. However, of course, this administration is always going to arrest and deport illegal immigrants when we find them. If they are criminals, we're going to do the right thing by our country.
No plan to send ICE to the Super Bowl. Doors open, maybe.
I think the door is always open to safety and security when it comes to President Trump, and it should be to Americans. Remember, this is what America voted for, to remove illegal immigrants from the country. The Bad Bunny pick has to do with the fact that the NFL wants to see itself as an international league, and they're not so concerned with what the American audience by itself has to say about a halftime show, because people are still going to watch the game. They have the games in Dublin, they have the games in Germany, they have the games in London. They want this to be an international spectacle. And then, of course, you have the Jay-Z connection, and he and his company do a lot of those decisions on the entertainment, this consulting for the NFL. So the decision for a lot of people is, this doesn't make any sense. This isn't interesting to us. But the us that they're referring to isn't the us that the NFL is actually after and trying to reach. And I will be watching the Colts, and I bet A.D. Mitchell holds on to the ball this week.
Danny Dimes is having a better season than expected, but that's for another day. Real quick, Dustin, here's Jimmy Kimmel on the controversy.
Meanwhile, the MAGA sphere is very fired up about the news that Bad Bunny is doing the Super Bowl halftime.
So you heard about this guy, Bunny? Is that his name? Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny. It's yet another reason to not watch football. It stinks. Roger Goodell and all those criminals, they can have their money. Boycott it. Read a book. Go to church.
Oh, man, so much outrage.
I love my man Greg Kelly from Newsmax, front and center on Kimmel's show. Without somebody like Greg Kelly, Kimmel's show wouldn't be interesting. Dustin, your final word.
That's absolutely right. Well, Tony's right also that they're going for an international audience and they don't really care about the American audience. But, I stopped watching the NFL when they were kneeling. So there's a lot of Americans. They'll be turning to somewhere else, maybe Newsmax for counter programming during the Super Bowl. But one thing is actually, I'm sure ICE will be at the Super Bowl. That is actually the #1 event in the country for human trafficking. So
that's right.
I hope that they're there. And it's actually a really big deal for them to be all over that event.
You're absolutely right. And I got another counter program for you. Eat, drink, smoke, which is what Tony will be doing this weekend. Gentlemen, have a good night.